Stay tuned for Retire Your Way with Dale Sudis, a leading financial retirement strategist and the founder of Sudis Financial and Insurance Solutions, right here in Fresno. Every week, Dale discusses pressing financial topics of the week, ranging from reliable income strategies to our financial markets, including Social Security, tax strategies, wealth management, RMDs, legacy planning, long-term care solutions, and most importantly, how to make sure you have enough guaranteed lifetime income to retire your way with choice and dignity. From taxes to trends to total transparency, Dale covers it all. And now, here is Retire Your Way and Dale Sudis. That's right, friends. This is Retire Your Way with Dale Sudis of Sudis Financial right here in California. Mr. Dale Sudis, I know that you like a little bit of your crowd noise to get you going. All right, pipe down, everybody. Dale, how you doing this week, my friend?
We are doing great. Been busy, but we survived.
I understand that you are burning the late night oils. You're lighting the candles.
Yeah.
You're working late. You're working after hours. You're so busy right now.
Yeah, we had some opportunity to upgrade clients' accounts to improve them, and it kept me hopping to upgrade them. So it was great. It was good. But I'm surviving, and I am doing okay.
Fantastic. Folks, don't go anywhere. We got a full hour of retirement planning strategies and retirement planning stories. How Dale and his entire team help folks be and stay retired. But you know what, Dale? You know how much I enjoy doing the show with you every single week. But I'm really excited right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Katia Flores.
Oh, my goodness.
Is joining us. Katia.
Oh, you're too kind, too kind.
Wait, okay, it's not a standing ovation. Sit down, Katia. Sit down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a minute since you've joined us. How are you doing, Katia?
Ah, wonderful. As Dale said, busy as ever, but in a good way.
Well, I'm so glad to have you joining us on the program today, because for our radio listeners out there, also might give them a little bit more perspective on what we do here at Retire Your Way and at Sudis Financial. Of course, it's Dale's name on the door, but Katia, you have been helping and starting out with discovery meetings, as we like to call it. It's both discovery for us here at the office, but discovery of kind of the process and who you are for the folks who come into the office. Do you enjoy that aspect? It's kind of it's a bit of public relations. It's a bit of being a journalist as well, and a bit of being a financial psychologist. I mean, there's a lot of emotions and feels that probably happen, right?
It. No, it is. It's it definitely, it feels like a continuation on what I've been doing with the long-term care planning. So there's always a part of me that wants to dig a little bit deeper, wants to ask the questions of what are our concerns, what are we worried about, really taking the time to see that full picture so that we can do our best to help get you there. So just moving that over onto the discovery visits, it just felt like the right move.
Oh, fantastic.
Hey, and Spike, I wanted to say, I've heard you say this phrase over the past year, something about, people, you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And I got to thinking about that all this past week. And I thought, how many times do we, Katia and I, have people come in and, they're coming to us because they don't know, again, what they don't know. They don't know how to protect their assets from so-called spend down or things of that sort. I mean, it's real simple to think about, because these high-tech cars that we all drive now, if something goes wrong, we don't open the hood and start tearing into it. We take it to somebody who knows how to work on it. Same if our air conditioner goes out. We call somebody who knows how to, we're not jumping up on the roof typically. So, it's again, there's many things when it comes to people's planning, whether for long-term care or for just your general retirement.
Investments, income, taxes,
all that.
Estate planning. So if you don't mind,
it's amazing.
How about we do that? How about we do that today, Dale? You don't know what you don't know about retirement planning. And what we really, really, really enjoy is when you reach out to us, you come into the office, we really enjoy the questions. Don't feel silly. Don't feel embarrassed. This stuff can be complicated. It's confusing. It can be overwhelming.
Ask your questions. That's literally what Dale and Katya and the entire team are here for.
Exactly.
Katya, yeah.
Well, I want to just say, because a lot of people at times I hear them say, well, I Googled this,
Yeah.
or my friend, my neighbor, my workmate, they're doing this. And I thought, okay, well, that doesn't fit you from what I'm seeing, with your income, your assets, your goals, and all that. So we've got to be careful. So it's like something's wrong with the car. Do you take it down to the local, sewing machine repair shop? Probably not. So go to the ones who know how to work on it, right?
That was a real hard right turn. I did not say that. The sewing machine shop?
Yeah, there's
I'll
sewing
tell
machine
you,
shops. Yeah,
sitting in on appointments with Dale, always a pleasure. Always wonderful.
We love it, and we love all the different perspectives, and what I actually do appreciate that, Dale, is that, and we hear this for a lot from your female clients who come in. And by the way, stick around for the full hour. We're going to be doing an entire segment later with Katya on women and financial planning, why it's so important today, why you have to be doing financial planning, especially if you're a woman. And so if you are married and your spouse is female, this information is just important for you as well. The earnings, how much less we have in Social Security, the longevity problems. So please stick around for that later. But Katya, that's part of the point that we enjoy these stories from Dale, because so many women have said to us, you know what? I get tired of talking to financial advisors and all their sports analogies. I don't watch sports. So Dale just put us in a car and he took us to the sewing repair shop.
I like it. You're right. That's so true.
Well, let me start with you, Katya. So in the discovery meetings, you're literally meeting people on the front line. You gather this information. You and Dale then cook it together. You put it together in the pot roast.
Absolutely.
And you let it stew and you let it simmer and figure out what you need. Who have you seen recently, if we could start with one?
I actually met with a family just a little bit earlier this week. And this was one of the, I'll call it a proper discovery meeting. Again, where I've primarily been helping our families here in the office is with the long-term care. And I've got great stories we can talk about on that one. But with this family in particular, they are a married couple. We are in our mid-70s. We've just entered retirement, just stopped working, and they're ready to move out of state. They're ready to get closer to the grandkids, which I love. They came to see me and they knew where they wanted to go. They know what the destination is, but they needed the peace of mind in knowing that they were going to be able to get there. And in discussing with them what their concerns were, realizing we're going to sell the property that we have here in California. We're going to be buying the new home in the new state we're going to. But will our income be enough? They're looking at it. They've just got Social Security, small, little, tiny pension. We're lucky if we have those. And even now when we see them, they're smaller than ever. But it's the fear of, is it going to be enough to make our dreams work when we move out of state?
Okay, so the obviously selling the property, that's going to be part of the income plan. Did they have other investments as well? Because you said small pension. Did they have outside, 401ks or IRAs? Do they have other investments to be able to help them along with an income plan?
So we are primarily looking at the sale of the property. And it was a farm that they've been working on, and it's been the primary business. So, not only are they moving out of, exactly, right? So not only are we experiencing the new
they're selling
steps
the
of going
property.
into, right, selling the property.
So the beauty of having Katya on that initial visit, it frees me up to help, because now she gathers all the info, where they want to go, what they have, income, asset-wise. And then, she passes it on to me. We put our heads together on the planning because we know what they need. And when they come back, I'll sit down with them, and we call that a roadmap. And we'll give them a rough draft of their retirement income plan, because it might still need to be tweaked. But we'll give them options and show, if, based on what they may have saved and or from the sale of their home, what it's going to be like.
Yeah. So what's interesting, Dale, you and I have talked about this a couple of months ago as well. My concern, your concern, when people's business And it sounds like this property clearly was their retirement plan, because it was part of what they did. And when that is primarily your retirement plan, I could only imagine, Katya, that they were either nervous or stressed, or definitely they didn't know what they didn't know. Is this enough? Is the property and everything that we're going to sell with it, is this going to be enough? That's got to be scary. I mean, that's an unknown there, because
Exactly.
there weren't any other outside savings. So Dale, you've started to take a look at it now. Are you optimistic about this approach?
Yes. I think with their goals and such, we can show them they can relax. I mean, it's like the plaque on my desk that says not to spoil the ending for you, but everything's going to be okay. And that's how we want our families to feel. And when you do have your, retirement income strategy planned out properly, you can pay the bills, you can play, and way down the road, if the play stops, you need care. So you have a paycheck, play check, and a care check built in. And now they can focus on the grandkids and more important things and not worry about their money, right?
Yeah. Dale, wondering if you and Katya are going to build in some things like the expense of moving. It has gotten very, very costly to put things into a moving van, to move a state or two or three away. Of course, closing costs in the real estate industry is changing as well. Are you going to try to help them ballpark some of those costs into the plan and go, here's what we want to spend on moving, here's what we're going to have from the proceeds, here's income down the road? Are you able to help with all of that?
Think about it. It's much the same if somebody says, hey, I need to upgrade our home. We're going to redo a bathroom, or we're going to redo the kitchen, or hey, in 2 years, I need to replace this vehicle. And in their circumstance, it makes better sense to, just buy it outright or whatever. We build that into their goals. So it's not just, how to pay the bills and how to play and have a care check, but we find out, well, what else are you going to need, a lump of money for in the next 3 to 5 years, especially at the beginning.
All right. Hey, Katya Flores, Dale, don't go anywhere. We've got to take a very short break right now. We want to let you know that we can get you started on your own discovery meeting right now. What do you want your retirement to look like? And I will say this, most especially to folks out there, if your business is your retirement plan, meaning you don't have other outside investments or your own SEP 401k, your own simple IRA, if you haven't started something in the business, is your entire rolling of dice on your retirement, please call us or someone like us, but we want to make sure that you've got a retirement plan that is going to work from you. Businesses, they go up and down. The fads, they go up and down. And if you are trying to retire at a certain year or must retire in a certain year because of your health or changes in the industry, we want to make sure that that business entity will help you be and stay retired. Call 833-856-1382 right now. Folks are standing by. Obviously not Katya, because she's here in the booth with us, but we have other folks standing by to take your phone call. Schedule that appointment. 833-856-1382 is the phone number to call. More with Dale Sutis.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
And Katya Flores when we get back right after this break.
Do you know how you'll generate income from your investments along with your Social Security in retirement? In our opinion, it's never too early to start the income planning process for your future. An income plan can help you work towards creating a steady stream of income to support you throughout your retirement years. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Take control today and start income planning for your retirement. Call the team at Sutis Financial so we can help you design a complimentary written income plan to help you live the retirement you've always wanted. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Call Dale Sutis of Retire Your Way and Sutis Financial for your own complimentary written income plan right away. 833-856-1382. Welcome back to Retire Your Way with Dale Sutis and Katya Flores today of Sutis Financial right here in California. I thought I'd say this at the start of the segment here. We do like to talk about folks who are you're helping and how you help them, but we do everything from change the names to protect the innocent or the guilty. But we change everybody's names. We don't give out, that kind of information here. So please don't ever feel uncomfortable about calling the phone number or coming in. We never share that kind of information. But we also do find that one of the reasons people do listen to the program or come to the live events is because we learn more as a community if we share things together. So we just like to share some little bits and pieces, kind of the broad picture of how we help people. The nuts, the bolts, the details, the who folks are. We will never, ever talk about that kind of stuff on the radio program, but just to kind of give you a broad idea of how we help people. So let me ask you that, Katya, from somebody who's come in recently. What Dale and I have talked about is there's usually some sort of event that makes somebody either call the phone number or come to a live event or reach out to a financial planning team. There's usually something, a trigger, something that goes, I don't know what I don't know about this. I'm going to call the phone number. Who's come in recently, Katya?
I wish that sometimes it wasn't always this reason, but time and time again, something happens, mom or dad go to the hospital, and now it hits. Well, hang on a minute. I think I should give that Sudis Financial a call. And, that was the case for, let's call him Frank.
Okay.
Came to see me so that we could talk about options for his mom. Mom had a hospital visit, and that was when we realized, wait a minute, mom's needing a lot more help than she did before. And, he told me he's been listening to the radio show for quite some time now. And when it all started clicking that he was thinking about long-term care for mom, he remembered Sudis Financial gave us a call.
Wonderful.
And,
wonderful that he knew that there was a resource, but sorry for the reasons why.
No.
About, do you recall, because you just did the discovery meeting, then you're saying, with quote unquote Frank, who just came in, about how old is mom, about how old is he?
Mom is in her 80s. Frank is in his late 50s.
Okay. That tracks. Okay. All right. Yeah. So he's still working, I'm guessing, right?
Still working. And that's part of what makes this so difficult is that, someone like Frank, he is still working. He's building up his own retirement savings, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he's got mom. And mom needs more and more help. And with this family's situation, mom for so long had been handling everything on her own because she was able to. And so Frank stepped in not really knowing what everything was that mom had. And so, that comes back to what was that, Dale, that you said earlier? You don't know what you don't know, right? And I think about when we're doing these discovery meetings, we're asking the questions, asking about, does mom have a trust in place? Does mom have a financial power of attorney? What types of insurance policies does mom have? And so much of it is guiding ones into us finding out those answers so that we can see that full picture of what we're working on, navigate all of that, and look to see, can we lean on programs to pay for in-home care or assisted living care,
that's
skilled nursing?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Didn't want to interrupt you there, but from having you on the program before and knowing that Dale has done this for decades as well, there are different ins and outs and rules about being able to have access to the care. I think one of the great things, and Dale can remind us again about the amount that you can have in your own savings, that's kind of gone out the window. It more depends on how much income you draw, so you can have as much as you need and still get help from these programs. But Katya, is that part of what you think you're going to start helping them with is how to get access to long-term care? Does she want to stay in the home? Is he having to figure out, is he going to get a home care rep to come by the house more often, or are we thinking more of a place where she'd be better suited in a facility?
So right now, in-home care is the way we're going. So I've put a couple, I gave him a couple resources to look into to get the ball rolling right now, since there is more of that immediate care. And then we're also looking at the we're gonna hope for the best, but we're gonna plan for the worst. So looking at what if we need more and more care, and now we've got to go into the nursing home. So for this family, we're still really gearing into in-home care programs, how we can make those work, and then being able to.
And if I may, it's this isn't unusual. We've run into people all the time who have a loved one, a parent. And sometimes it's rough on them because they stop working and they go and take care of mom or dad. And but because they don't know there are programs we can activate so that while they're working, we can provide some help, hopefully, like in this case, for in-home care. So they're not the primary giver during the week, let's say while they're working. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of ways to solve the problem. Again, you don't know what you don't know. So there are a lot of options that people don't understand. And even instead of being stuck in a nursing home, like Katya knows better than I now, there's a waiver program that we can get sometimes even in excess of $4,000 a month to help cover in-home care. But even if it's $1,500 to $2,000 and it gives enough care so that you can still work, it's a wonderful thing to be able to help people with.
We really want our listeners to hear this message right now. We call it, I've never liked this phrase, but in the industry, they call it the sandwich generation right now, that folks who are in their 50s, who are in their 60s are sandwiched between care for their aging parents because we are living longer, and sometimes the care for their adult children who might be going through financial struggles with high things such as inflation and possible taxes going up. The world has become very expensive. And what do you do if you're a working professional in your late 50s, in your 60s? You care about your parents, but you don't have the physical time to be able to focus on your career. Another reason to stick around for the second half of our program as we talk about women for retirement planning is that oftentimes, 80% of the time, they're the ones who go and take care of the aging parents, foregoing their own salaries and Social Security. Now here, it's flipped. Frank, quote unquote, is here taking care of his mother. Wonderful, wonderful. We're so glad that he is reaching out. Was there a sense of, probably not relief yet, because you're still in the stages of planning, but did he feel comforted coming in and finding out this information and what some of the options were as he left the appointment?
Oh, absolutely. To know that there is so much that he doesn't know and so much that still needs to be figured out that we need to navigate through, but now he's got ones that he can call on, that he can lean on, and we are there to help him navigate through that. I speak so much about how what we do is a lot of hand-holding and guiding through the process. I tell my families, I know it looks really daunting. We're just going to take it step by step. So he left my office with just, I think, maybe 2 or 3 to-dos, and we're set to meet again so that we can keep figuring out the puzzle before us.
Yeah.
Wasn't he also the one that he wanted to know more about for himself?
Absolutely.
For his future.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that happens so often, all the time, right? When we're looking to see, well, what's going on with mom and dad, we start to realize, well, hang on a minute. What about my own ducks or my ducks in a row? Do I have my legal documents in place? Do I need a trust? Do I need a financial power of attorney?
Or will my income last?
Will my income last?
Yeah.
Am I saving the right way
Yeah.
or the left way? I mean, the wrong way.
Dale, a follow-up to this, and Katya started this discovery meeting. My concern would be then, all right, so if mom is at this point needing some home health care, and I wasn't sure yet if this was ambulatory, if this was feeding, or if this is just the process of aging, or if it was memory care, because there's a lot of different levels of what you need. Dale, when you've seen this and you've started to set up the at-home care for a year or 2 or 3, does this eventually turn into going into a long-term care facility? Are you also having to think, hey, I know this will probably last us 2 or 3 years, but we need to also think of what happens if mom reaches 90 plus?
Well, no, it doesn't have to lead to being in a nursing home, or, I mean, worst case scenario, if it's just too much for them to be in their own home and family members can't really handle that level of care. The worst case scenario is we find an assisted living, cruise ship on land, places that can still take care of all the things that even a nursing home would take care of, but there are programs to help pay for that. But really our goal is to keep them at home as long as possible. And a lot of them never have to go in a facility, with the proper planning and the proper help.
Yeah. Hey, Dale, have you been helping anybody in the office? When we get back, you mind telling us a story as well? Somebody family you've been working with?
Well, if I have to.
Hey, folks, don't go anywhere.
Yes.
More with Katya Flores and Dale Sudas when we get back after this. I want you to know, though, whatever your concern is it income? Is it planning for your parents? Is it making sure that maybe your adult kids are starting to think about their own retirement planning because you're concerned about having to loan them money? Or if it's just, can you be and stay retired? We realize that you don't know what you don't know when it comes to retirement planning. Why don't you work with somebody who does this, answers these questions every single day in their offices? This is what Dale and Katia can do for you. Give us a call right now. We have folks standing by who will schedule that appointment for you. 833-856-1382. You can get started on your own written financial plan for retirement. 833-856-1382. More Retire Your Way with Dale and Katia when we get back right after this. You've heard the phrase, you don't know what you don't know, and we believe it's especially true when it comes to retirement planning. There's a lot of information out there, and it can be overwhelming and confusing. So how do you know what you don't know? Social Security, RMDs, estate planning, investment risk. These are just a few of the many areas that a financial advisor can help you navigate. But what else don't you know when it comes to retirement planning? Are you aware of all of the tax implications of your investments? Do you know how to optimize your Social Security benefits? What about your long-term care and estate planning needs? We believe that by working with a retirement planning advisor, you can uncover potential blind spots in your financial plan and gain a better understanding of your options. Don't let unknown factors potentially derail your retirement. Call Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial to uncover what you may not know about your retirement future and start your complimentary written financial plan. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382. Or you can write Dale at dale@sudas.com. That's SOUTAS.com.
For your own complimentary Retire Your Way review, call Dale Sudas of Retire Your Way and Sudas Financial at 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Welcome back to Retire Your Way with Dale Sudas, financial advisor of Sudas Financial. Also joining us in the booth today is Katia Flores. Katia, how you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. How about yourself?
I'm great. I'm really enjoying the conversation. These are I got to say, my favorite shows. I really enjoy this when we just kind of get into how you help people. It's the storytelling and, just trying to figure out, because there's so many people out there who can identify with these different situations. And kind of the theme of the show is you don't know what you don't know. Dale, let's go to you. How about you don't know what you don't know when it comes to not having an estate plan?
Well, I had someone recently come in. Their mother had passed away. A good friend of the family, her friend, brought the kids in, adult children. And it was sudden, unexpected, unfortunately. And what we found is the house and a bulk of her savings assets were not, number one, she didn't have a trust. Number two, she didn't even have beneficiaries on some of the accounts. Some small accounts, she had the kids named. So, well, what's wrong with that? Sometimes people, okay, it just goes to kids, doesn't it? No, it can go to probate. I mean, so a lot of times people don't know what probate is.
So you had one or two of the kids on the beneficiary?
The only two kids. Yeah, the two kids. So the only two kids, and they were close to mom, and it was nice family. But she, something happened, and she died, and she wasn't really that old. I mean, so
bit of a surprise.
Yeah, and probate. The house was, titled in her name, but it wasn't titled in a living trust. And, there's no spot. I mean, you don't add kids on title with you because that can create problems, especially if one or both the kids have financial or legal problems. You could lose your home, right? But the other problem is you bought the house for, let's say, $50,000, and now it's worth $450,000 when you die. And they don't want to live in it. They don't want to keep it as a rental. They sell it. And with it being in a trust under current tax laws, they get a stepped up basis. So all of that $450,000 comes to the kids tax free. If mom or dad or whoever puts the kids on title with them, now that $400,000 when they sell it, because they essentially gave the kids the $50,000 cost basis. So now they sell it and they have to pay capital gains on $400,000, right? So they lose the stepped up basis. But that's just a minor point. But we're talking over $1 million that now will go to probate for this for these kids. Okay. Now,
and there's, I think you've said before on another program, isn't there like a percentage cost that you have to pay out just for
and
going?
I don't know exactly, but let's say it's $1 million. You know, I'm going to guess it's probably 20 to 50,000 that it's going to cost them to get it through that process with attorney fees, court fees, and all that. But that's not the biggest problem.
Okay.
When you have a probate case, that's a public record. There are people who look up probate cases on the county recorder's office. And if they get a sense that, hey, that might be a big, estate, for for a few bucks, they go in and copy, get a copy of that probate case, and they see all of your assets. It's like putting your accounts and properties out on the laundry line, as they say, right? And they could just easily go in. So now instead of, typically 2 years and 20, 40, 50, whatever it costs, it takes longer and it could cost more because anybody can walk in and say, mom owed me money in this example, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's cheaper just to pay them off to get them out of the way than to pay an attorney.
Well,
quite a bit more.
you're saying that, mom owed me money, but the other thing about being public is it doesn't have to be somebody in the family. I mean, when
Exactly.
it can be somebody outside the family.
Yeah, it's like that one comedian says they're sitting in a beanbag chair eating Cheetos or whatever, and they see on the public record, because you could go online and see that, at 2 a.m. in the morning and go make a copy of their file. But the other part is, think about it. The state now decides who gets her assets, okay? And, well, she only has 2 kids. It would be logical they should get them. Well, yeah, but logic isn't always there. So I actually had a lady probably about 15 years ago. Her mom inherited $91,000. And now back then, mom was in a nursing home on this long-term care nursing home Medi-Cal. Again, different than the welfare Medi-Cal. And she could have $2,000 of countable resources to her name. So I showed the daughter how to protect the $91,000. Mom kept her benefits and all that, no break in benefits. Okay. But then I said, well, where'd the money come from? Oh, it came through, because she inherited. Who died? Where'd it come from? It came through probate, and it was because her ex-husband died. So think about it. Now, do you think the ex-husband wanted part of his estate to go to his ex-wife?
I don't know, but we can't ask him anymore. We know that for sure.
Can't ask him anymore.
That's the only thing we know for sure.
But see, it's crazy. You don't really. So the simple fix, especially if you own real estate, and you got to understand too, currently, and it changes from year to year, goes up a little bit, no doubt, but currently 185,000 triggers probate. Okay. And let's say, well, my house is worth 400,000, but I owe 300,000. So it's really only worth 100, not to the state, not for probate. It's worth 400,000 because they look at the market value. They don't care about the net value. So understand, a trust is needed. It's, in my simple way of helping people understand it, it's just a fancy will. Okay. The person, mom in this case, owns the house. If she puts it into her trust, she's still in control of her property. It just outlives her, keeps it a private family matter to go to her kids.
Okay, I got a couple of follow-ups here, as you might guess. So the 2 kids, are they both on board with selling the home at this point? Because I ask because sometimes you might have one person who wants to move into the house or say, hey, this is great. This is the family home. Let's move in.
They're going to keep it.
All right.
Yeah,
well, that's nice. But you oftentimes, though, see when kids don't agree or the whole family doesn't agree on what to do with assets.
Yeah,
that is nice here. But they're going, the taxation on it. Were there, Katia, I don't know if you help review or if Dale goes through all of his case studies. Were there any other outside assets or was it just the home?
I believe this one had a fair amount of IRA. Isn't that right, Dale? IRA assets and that's I
can't remember if it was 400,000 or 500,000. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, and that's all been tax deferred. Was this 401k or work rollovers?
Well, yeah. And basically the thing they don't know is that if they just take their half, let's say it's worth 500,000 in this example, and they take their half, then they each get $250,000. But if they don't deal with it properly, they're going to show Uncle Sam $250,000 as taxable that same year. So a lot of times people don't even know the type of money they are inheriting and how to properly stage it. Because if you inherit an IRA today, the current rules, you could take it over time up to 10 years. So that would help limit, hopefully, the major tax instead of taking a giant lump, spread it out over multiple tax years. So there's some strategies there that many
so
times we
a
have
few
to coach.
takeaways, and so this is kind of an example of how not to do it. It didn't have all of the beneficiaries on the accounts that they should have. Didn't have kind of a purpose for the house. It doesn't sound necessarily like they had a will. I mean, if you've got kids and you are gracefully moving into your golden years, isn't it time for you to at least put together a simple will for your assets?
I just couldn't help but think this was ringing true with another couple that I'd recently seen. And once again, they came to see me to talk about long-term care options for mom. But when I was speaking with them about their need for a trust, the wife said to me, "Oh, well, no, we just have our one daughter. It's all going to go to our daughter." And I just thought to I didn't just think to myself. I said to them, "Oh, hang on just a minute there. That's not always the case. If you don't have this in a trust, your daughter is going to go through such a headache down the road in order to properly inherit this. You're setting her up with a tax bomb when she inherits it. She won't be able to receive that step up. She's going to have to go
through
Well,
probate.
she still gets a step up if
Yeah.
mom dies, but it's going to go through probate.
Yeah, it's going to go through probate. It can be there.
Yeah.
And for our listeners out there, the probate process for the states is simply to know if whoever passed away, if they owed money to any debtors out there. So
Right.
it takes a while, and there's costs to go through. You know this, even if you go get a parking ticket, there's costs to go through the court system. So imagine an estate, a house, anything like that. So why not simplify it on the front end? Especially, and I'll just ask both of you, whoever wants to grab it, how many times when people sit down with you for the first time, do they not even have that simple will? Is it more often or less often than normal?
Well, I'm not too concerned about a will. That you use those for like your jewelry and collectibles, your cars or whatever. Anybody, any age, if you own real estate and the market value could trigger probate, again, 185,000 this year in 2024, then you need a trust, period. It's not a will won't cut it. It won't make the house go to whomever you want it to go. You need a living trust.
Okay, folks, you can call the phone number. Man, great stories here today. I also want to come back. When we come back from break, I want to ask you this, give you time in the commercial to think about this. 2 different stories in the last 30 minutes. One was how mom passed away sooner than expected and didn't have the proper estate planning tools. The other one is mom seems to be living longer, needs the long-term care. My question that I want to ask you is, when do you start talking to families about preparing for long-term care? It does depend on age or health or longevity. I'll let you both think about it. We can kind of talk about that when we come back. And also, as I said on the program, some women financial planning, some statistics, some facts you really need to know. Of course, women tend to live longer, but the longevity, the taxes, Social Security, some things we want you to be aware of when it comes to financial planning for women. When we get back, especially because we got Katia Flores in the house and Dale Sudas as well. More with the both of them and Retire Your Way when we get back right after this.
Will you outlive your money? It's a scary thought, but it's a real concern for many people. In our opinion, that's why it's crucial to have a solid retirement plan in place. We believe that with proper planning, you can work towards making your money last as long as you do. Don't wait until it's too late to start thinking about your financial future. Call Dale Sudas and the team at Sudas Financial today to learn how we can help you create a retirement plan that can potentially help you obtain peace of mind and security for years to come. Don't let the fear of running out of money in retirement keep you up at night. Take control of your financial future today. Start your Retire Your Way review and financial plan by calling 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Call Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial and Retire Your Way. 833-856-1382.
This is Retire Your Way with Dale Sutis, financial advisor and the founder of Sutis Financial. Also joining us in the booth today is Katia Flores. Katia, it's great to have you as well. And all the more reason for us to talk about women in financial planning and why it is absolutely so important today. But to wrap up our conversation from before, two different stories, one with a mom who passed away a little bit earlier than expected, and another one where our quote-unquote Frank had come in to make sure that mom was going to be taken care of. He's still a working professional, didn't have the time to take care of mom. Dale, is it an absolute to do long-term care and legacy planning? Does it depend on longevity? Does it depend on how healthy somebody is? Does it depend on how much they have in assets? When do you talk about, because there was one person who didn't need long-term care, but unfortunately they didn't have estate planning, and there's one person who very clearly needs long-term care planning.
Right.
So when do you
through
have
the
that
decades, through the decades of working with families, especially, for years, I did what I love having Katia do now, which is help families when they're in that mode where they need help with possibly a loved one, a parent, a spouse, where they need care. What are the options? But like no doubt Katia is saying the same thing. Now, here's what we do, like the one Frank, where we change his name to protect the guilty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we're showing him ways to protect things for mom and to activate programs so that she can be cared for. We basically say, look, this is how it works for mom and dad right now. But you're my brother, sister types. You need likewise to know how that works or can work for you in the future, and where we might not have to rely on the government program, build your care check into your retirement income plan without having to buy long-term care nursing home insurance. I'm not a fan of that because you pay. And if you do like the one lady who passed away, suddenly, that would have been a lot of money out the window had she been paying for long-term care. It's easy to build that into, for the most part, people's retirement income plan. A paycheck to pay the bills, a paycheck to goof off. When the goofing stops and you need care, here's a way to have extra income to keep you out of a nursing home.
Katia, you've come from helping a lot of folks start with the long-term care and trying to figure things out here in California. Estate planning is just as important. Are these harder conversations to have in that discovery conversation the first time you meet with somebody, or do you open it up and go, hey, eventually we're going to start talking about these topics as well?
We're ripping that Band-Aid off. We're going right into it. I am greeting you with a warm smile, and I just want to be part of the family. I want you to let me know what is going on so that we can find out, is there something that we can help with? Something that we can give you that peace of mind, and now you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, the best way to handle it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, one more thing that I want to talk, we've been having I've been really enjoying today's program here, talking about how you help individuals who have come into your office. A few different things, folks. We'll still have more live events before the end of the year. You can go to our website and find out when those are going to be scheduled. You can give us a call if you need to as well. We have folks standing by, 833-856-1382, or you can go to the website and then just click on the events tab there, Sutis.com. That's SOUTAS.com. But since we do have Katia here, and Dale, I've heard you say this many, many, many times on your radio program, the ladies, the little ladies who you help out, we're finding they have even larger financial issues, especially when it comes to retirement planning. It's called the women's financial gap. And there are nearly 5 of them: the wage gap, the mom gap, the care gap, the widow gap, and I have added in the divorce gap. These are gaps where women aren't able to save as much, make as much. I'm going to add in another one. Because we call it the wage gap. I throw in the Social Security gap because you might be making less. Are these concerns of yours, Katia? Do you make sure that you focus on the women as well, especially in the planning?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We are looking at not just the full picture, but the individual picture as well. And you're right. We see it time and time again when we look at the amount that, our women client have in their retirement accounts versus what their husbands have in theirs. I mean, it's sometimes nearly half of a difference between one versus the other.
Yeah. The wage gap, again, this isn't our fault. We're just reporting on it. But usually women today still making 83 cents on the dollar or 83 pennies, on the dollar compared to men's wages. That is closing, but there is still that gap there. The mom gap. Taking 10, 15, 20 years out of working and then maybe coming back in our 40s or 50s to a career. But guess what? Then you haven't paid into Social Security. They don't have that extra 401k. And I got to throw it out there.
They're trying to catch up.
Yeah. And then I hate to say it, but this is a huge one. Either the pension gap or the divorce gap, either not being named on the pension plan and the spouse passes away, and or the divorce gap. Just the burned costs that somebody goes through in a divorce and then not being prepared themselves. These are things that we want people to be aware of, but they can reach out to you, Dale.
Right. And, this divorce gap, basically, let's say they divorce and the husband has this huge pension. Well, they should know because they're married, they're entitled to half of that pension, and vice versa. So, that can be a big gap. But what if your spouse dies? Now you go from, on the tax side, you go from the low married tax rates to the high single tax rates. And you lose if your Social Security is lower than your spouse, you get the higher of the two, basically, is how it works. And if you have pensions or other income, now you've got, more taxes, less net income from that overall to spend. So there's a lot of that needs to be accounted for. And, when I'm sitting down with a married couple and I'm talking about, planning your income out, I'm planning it for the women to live to age 100. Will your income last? Will it keep up with inflation all the way to age 100? And I point out to the men, statistically, they're going to outlive you, Of course, I tease the women because you wear us out.
Oh, you're going to do that with Katya in the booth with us?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, yeah,
keep him in line over there, Katya.
She John cracks the whip on me. They try to keep me busy.
Here's the thing, though, and there's a lot of positives from this retirement study, especially focused on women here. Women tend to make better investors. They tend to stick to a plan. They tend to do research. They tend to ask questions. And they make, some significant gains in accumulating assets after a spouse has passed away. But let's do that now. Let's do that together. The actuary tables, I think, are anywhere between 5.5 years to 6 years that women live on average beyond their spouse.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of financial factors. Let's just say you are happily married and we aren't able to go on to the next plane, holding hands together, passing away in the same day at age 100. When one spouse passes away, now you've got to also be, you've told me this, married, filing single. You're no longer filing or married and filing jointly, and you lose one of the Social Securities. So even if you are married and go into your retirement together, there's other financial hurdles that you've got to be aware of. So when it comes,
I have a lot of moms that I take by the hand. One quick example, I've been in this complex for 24 years, and I had a gentleman come in during the first year I was here off of an ad in the Fresno Bee. I used to drive all over the valley, but that wears cars out. So they come to me, and that's fine. And he kept coming in, over the first year or two and just asking questions about different types of investments. But he studied the market. He, it wasn't just his hobby, but he did very well on, making his money grow. And then he finally introduced me to his wife and a couple of times. And then I could have killed him for doing this, but he up and died, right? So, but we looked back and we realized what he was doing. He was basically interviewing me as the one to help mom or his spouse, right? And so I worked with her for a couple decades because she died at 96. So, I think close to 20 years later. So, if not. So, but yeah, it's knowing how to maneuver all these things for women. I mean, those are the primary ones that we need to know. Well, how do you make sure your spouse is taken care of.
Yeah, my one grandmother lived almost 30 years without my grandfather, who had passed away. My other grandmother about 15 years. I mean, even the national averages, I don't think come close to what the actual reality is. And from this retirement planning survey, 83% of women said they don't feel confident about their access to cash or liquidity in retirement. 83%. That's a startling number to me. Look, folks, this is what I want to say on the radio here. If you are a couple, you both equally need to be in on the retirement planning. How and when to take your Social Security. Where is the access to the accounts? What is our income going to look like? How will it lightly grow? How will you make it grow so you can make sure that it won't run out in retirement? Those questions have to be answered. But even more so, are we absolutely certain that both of us are on the same page? Well, folks, that is going to be all the time that we have today for both Katia Flores and Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial. Thank you so much for listening. You know, we want to help you. That's the whole point of doing the radio program, the live events, and doing what Dale does in the office every day, doing what Katia does in the office every day, helping folks like you, our radio listeners, be and stay retired. If I go back to the opening few minutes from what Dale said, you don't know what you don't know about retirement planning. There is no cost to give us a call. There is no cost to sit down with us. Let's do your discovery meeting and see what questions we can help answer to help you sleep at night for your own retirement. Katia, you want to say goodbye real quick?
Bye.
Thanks, Dale. All right. Thank you both so much for joining us on Retire Your Way. Call that phone number right now. Folks are still standing by. 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382. Or go to Sudas.com. SOUTAS.com. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
As a valued radio listener of Retire Your Way, Dale and his entire team of retirement professionals invite you to schedule your very own complimentary retirement plan review session. 833-856-1382 is the number for you to call. If you don't have a retirement strategy mapped out that includes low-fee investment elections, tax minimization strategies, decumulation plans that will last as long as you need them to, then call for your very own retirement review session, complimentary for our valued radio listeners. Are you able to lower your taxes in retirement? Are you unclear about your Social Security, Medicare, investment fees and risk, or how to produce guaranteed lifetime income so your lifestyle and goals don't have to be changed with the ups and downs of the market or taxes? Call Dale Sudas with Sudas Financial and be confident you can retire your way. Schedule your own comprehensive and complimentary retirement review session. Don't just live in retirement, thrive. Call 833-856-1382. That's 833-856-1382.
Katia Flores is not an investment advisor representative of Foundations and does not provide investment advisory services. Dale Sudas of Sudas Financial is an investment advisor representative with Foundations and can provide advisory services.
Investment advisory services offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. All rights reserved. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. A Roth conversion may not be suitable for your situation. The primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. The information provided is to help you determine whether or not a Roth IRA conversion may be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Please review your retirement savings, tax, and legacy planning strategies with your legal and tax advisor to be sure a Roth IRA conversion fits into your planning strategies.
Comments regarding a particular client's experience may or may not be the same as another client's experience and is not an indication that any client or prospective client will experience the same or a higher level of future success or performance.